Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Alistair, and I'm coming to you today with a video tutorial on how to make some Vale Tudo shorts. I have based these on a man called Katsuhisa Fuji. He fought in the UFC Japan tournament, briefly in Pride Bushido, and in Pancras Shuto, I believe at least once or twice in Deep, and would show up to great effect on the U-Style professional wrestling promotion. I really enjoyed his stuff there. So I have based them on the golden shorts that he wore during his appearances in the UFC Japan tournament and in Pancras.
Be interesting to see what. Oh, big right hand.
第1ラウンドも残り時間が1分
ここからですね。
切っています。
ここからこれですね。
パフだ。
A big right hand.
Now a big flurry and he's
これもサイドポジション取りましたね。これアンロック最後あのまま決まっていたんですね。そうですね。
Alright, so here is my sewing pattern. You can see the crotch seam, ass seam, leg and waist there. I actually have no idea how to measure those and line them up properly. I based this off a set of tights that I had that had died in the knees, and so I cut them up to make this pattern. I have since sort of worked it out, but at the time I had no idea what I was doing. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm pinning it through 2 layers of the gold fabric here at several points, so that when I cut, the pattern's going to stay in place. I could pin around the pattern and then trace it out with a piece of tailor's chalk, but I find that's double handling. I'm sure there is a reason why other people do it, but I don't. So now I'm trimming with scissors. I used a rotary cutter just to cut out my main segment of fabric, and did the precision work with these scissors here. And you see I'm cutting along the top here. That's separating my 2 layers into 2 pieces. And having folded it in half, you get your 2 sides. So you get one for one leg and one for the other leg. You don't have to worry about laying down the pattern on the right side and making sure you're cutting the right bit. And so here we have my lining fabric. This is a 4-way stretch spandex, and the facing fabric was also 4-way stretch, but it was gold foils spandex. So I'm going to do the same here, pinning it in place, and then trimming it with a rotary cutter, and then with the scissors afterwards. There we go, snipping as fast as I can. Now you notice there's a couple little straight edges down the bottom. That was just the width of the piece of paper that I had. Those are entirely unnecessary, and I don't really have to worry about them because of the way I assemble this. But if you were to draft up your own pattern, you don't need those straight bits. Just have the curve hook straight into the leg. Alright, so what I've done is I've laid the lining piece, my 2 facing pieces, and then the other lining piece. So the 2 facing pieces have got the foil side sandwiched in the middle, and the lining pieces are facing the outside. That way, when everything gets flipped back inside out, after I sew it together, it'll all be facing the right way, and the seams will be on the inside. And so I am pinning the crotch and ass seam. And I'm sort of doing that equidistantly to make sure that I avoid the fabric bunching up. One step that I've skipped here, and something that I would do if I was selling these, was I would attach the lining layers and the outside layers to each other with spray adhesive. That would avoid anything shifting on each other during construction, and would also prevent you from being able to pinch and separate the 2 layers when you've got the completed garment. But as this is a set for me, I find it an unnecessary step, although it does occasionally make for some issues in construction, as you shall see here. Alright, so first up I'm backstitching, then I'm going forward, and I'm using a zigzag stitch that is 3mm wide and 2mm long. That gives it some good stretch, and you can see I'm tugging ever so slightly on the spandex. If you pull it really tight, it's going to end up sort of crinkling when you let it go. So you're just sort of maintaining tension so that all the pieces of spandex are just pulled taut. Not taut as in you've taken up all the tension on them, just like they all have the tiniest amount of tension on them and are pulled straight. And now I'm doing the other seam here. Same thing, zigzagging. And this is part of the issue where sticking those 2 bits together would have been better. Also, I'm not very neat with my seams at all, but I have an overlocker, so neatness with the seams is not required for me. If you were doing this just without an overlocker, sew a bit neater, it will result in a bit of less cutting in the end. Great job with the camera work here, Alistair. I'm now pinning the leg holes together. And to do that, you grab both ends of the same piece of fabric and pinch them together, and then pin like at the point where the crotch and arse seam meet. But I should have done that on camera, but it's kind of difficult to do. And so I'm currently doing it in my lap. And so I've got it all lined up. Back under the foot now. And once again, start with back stitching. One thing that I do is I make sure that I catch both the crotch and the arse seam when I sew through here. That means when I flip everything inside out, there won't be a hole in the middle. As long as I have, like, between those, if I've caught both of those two seams, there will be no hole. There will be a nice closed up garment. And as I flip it inside out here, you can see that all four of my seams meet. There are no holes. We're all good. I very quickly stitch together my loop of elastic for my waistband. And so I just do that with 2 zigzag stitches on either side of the join. There we are, getting a big stretch. And moving my thing out of the way, ready to cut the waistband holder and sort of leg cuff thingies. I don't know what these are technically called. So once again, using 4-way stretch spandex. This is a cotton spandex. I just find cotton spandex more comfortable against my skin than nylon spandex, so traditional lycra. And what I'm doing here, so the first piece I'm going to cut is the waistband. So again, it's folded over, and I cut it 4 inches wide and 14 inches like long, but folded over once, so that means it's 28 inches as a whole piece. Just using the rotary cutter to make sure I get straight lines, or straight-ish anyway. Again, sort of not entirely necessary. You can use a pair of scissors, and if there's sort of pokey out bits, like if you've done a terrible cutting job, you can clean it up after you sew your seams in. And so these are the 2 leg holes, which are 9 inches folded over once, so 18 inches. And yeah, just cutting those off here. And here comes the last one. I'm trying to use bits from the outside of my piece of fabric to minimize waste, but you know, I'm not actually great at that. I end up with tons and tons of cabbage and wasted bits. But there we go. Alright, so now we're on to overlocking. So I'm just overlocking the 2 ends of our fabric together to make it into a loop. This is our cuffs and waistband piece. I could have done this on the normal sewing machine, but I just choose to do it on the overlocker because that way I'm doing everything all in one step. And here's our last one. Also, it cuts everything off clean, so you've got no bulk and at the seams. Alright, so here we are. I'm overlocking the, I think this is the arse seam. So I start at the top and go all the way down to the bottom, and then I angle everything out so it doesn't get cut. This overlocker has a shear on it, so the seam gets cut down and made into like a perfectly straight line when you're done. So that explains why I can be a bit lazy. I also, I think I picked up an extra bit of fabric there like I wasn't supposed to, so I had to unpick a bit and then do it again. And so now we're going to do the crotch seam, same thing again. And you can see the the spare bits of fabric on the edge getting cut off and thrown off to the side there by the shear. Now I don't slide the overlocker through the middle of the crotch seam, of the like 2 legs holes. What I do is I go to the point, finish that one off, and then start again from the other side. I do sort of make those overlap a little bit, but I don't let it run under the blade because I find that cuts and puts a hole in it, and then you end up having to stitch it together. Alright, so it's kind of difficult to film the process of attaching my waistband, but what I do is I put the shorts on a cushion, right side out, and then put the waistband holder fabric in and sandwich the elastic in between those and make sure that I'm pinning all 4 layers of fabric, so the 2 sides of the waistband holder and the outside layer and the inside layer. I pin that all the way around, and putting it on the cushion allows you to maintain tension so that you line everything up. Alright, here we go, running that through the overlocker here. This time I am pulling it a little bit, again pulling it straight, just to avoid like any wrinkles getting sewn into the fabric as I go along. I'm not putting tension on this, I'm just pulling it straight, if that makes sense. So I'm not actually actively taking up any of the stretch, I'm just making it sit flat. And so there we are, I've run all the way around and I've attached all 4 sides, we've got no holes, which is perfect. So now I do the same thing for the leg holes, but I do that on a thinner cushion. And I don't sew any elastic onto the leg holes. You can do that if you need to, but I don't find I need to. I find that the tension of the spandex is enough. Just be careful when you're overlocking, make sure that you've only got the bit you want to sew running under the shear in the foot, because I definitely have put a hole in a previous project before and had to sew in a stripe afterwards to cover that hole up. So we are finishing off those legs. Leg hole number 1, making sure I didn't miss any. And this is, again, the overlocker allows me to be a bit haphazard in how I cut. I don't have to be absolutely perfect with lining everything up, because the overlocker lines it up for me afterwards. You don't need one, but it does make life a little bit easier. Alright, here we are. So I check this one, and you see I've left a little bit of a hole there, so I just run that piece and a little bit ahead and a little bit beyond it under the overlocker again, cutting down and running a bit closer. And so there we go, everything is all sewed and attached.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That's how to make some gold Vale Tudo shorts. These fit quite nicely. The only issue is that the gold spandex shows off some wrinkles, so quite possibly I should have used the spray adhesive to attach the two so that any sort of discrepancy between the 2 layers wouldn't show up on the outside. But in motion, unless I'm in like a photo shoot, it's not going to cause a problem. In motion, these feel great and look great. So I hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to learn how to draft up a pattern of that, contact me at the email that should be on the screen now, or if you'd like to order a pair or some other professional wrestling gear, for example, I make kick pads and knee pads, send an email there as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all again next time.